You've been forced to see the world in a way you did not choose. Rose-colored glasses were put on to you at a very young age. And these rose-colored glasses create a framework that you're supposed to live in. Now, these colored glasses are colors that we see in the world that was basically put over our eyes. The wool needs to come back. I have lived the framework that was chosen for me. The college, the marriage, the kid, the white picket fence, the goal to get X amount of dollars in the bank account. And I did this after a traumatizing life for 24 years. And so I want to bring that story to you in a way that I haven't opened up before. And if you're watching this, you probably feel like you're stuck in a world that feels fake to you. And it's because these rose-colored glasses that we're forced to wear are basically hurting us into a direction that doesn't fit us as humans. We are unique. We aren't cookie cutters. And so how can we just follow a cookie cutter path? So let's get right into this story. At a very young age, I was introduced to a life that was abnormal. Alcohol, adoptions, child protective services, different types of verbal, physical, and emotional traumatic experiences. And so I had an idea that the world wasn't this safe place to live in. And this was all of the relationships that I had in my childhood and my young adult life. And I had a few near unalived experiences that led me to understand that the world isn't this beautiful place where we got to just work hard, get into this marriage, have a kid, grow a life with the white picket fence around it, and basically follow the herd and raise up. Now, while I was in these child protective services, I was placed in families who lived by that. But even there in those places, I did feel a sense of dysfunction within the family. And I didn't really understand why this was until way later in life. And it was because this cookie cutter box framework that we have to wear through these rose-colored glasses isn't meant for everyone. And maybe it's meant for a very few amount of the population. I don't know the statistics on that, but I do know that it wasn't for me, but I only know that now. So when I found a way out of this poverty-ridden, drug in this lifestyle, after going to rehabilitation a few times and restructuring my life the first time, I ended up going to college. And because I was in child protective services, I had my college paid for. So I had an opportunity that most people didn't, as long as it was a local college. And so I enrolled, and I found a passion for intellectual knowledge. Like, I wanted to learn the most that I could, because at this time I thought that was my edge. Like, I could synthesize information and I could piece together patterns that most people couldn't. And so I dived into this. First, I enrolled in psychology because I was extremely passionate about the counseling, the therapy that I received from my adolescent years. And I knew that the medications that I was on wasn't helping. Like, I knew this inside. It felt like I was put into a shell and was trying to be shaped in a certain way so that I could live according to the framework that the rose-colored glasses that was provided to me inherited. And so this is why I was interested in psychology and sociology, because of the dynamics with those people that I was raised with. And then also, like, my own view of the world felt incorrect. So I wanted to dive into this. And I did. I dived into the psychology and the sociology and the different phases of relationships. But then I was introduced to mathematics. And mathematics was awesome. And the reason why was because people are variable, they change, but mathematics are concrete. there is an answer. It is definitive, where relationships are subjective and open for interpretation. And I knew that my life was, up until this point, my life was really weird and very unconventional. But I wanted stability, and I found stability in the numbers, in the patterns. And I dived into it, and I got a couple of degrees. And this was 27, 28, back, this was 7, 8 years ago. And so as I was going to college, I met a lady, and we ended up getting married. And we started setting these goals to follow down the path that I mentioned, the framework that was provided to us. Like, you have to go to church, you have to get married, you have to get a college degree. And so I was following this because while I was living in the dysfunction from my past, I wanted purpose in my life. And everybody outside of this poverty-ridden thing was going down that path. And I really, truly believed that was the pinnacle of success, to achieve these things. And because it was the pinnacle of success, I followed it. Because that was the idea that was imprinted in me. And because of my background, I thought this was unattainable for a person like me. I thought it was out of reach, and that I was destined to live in this traumatic experience my whole life. So the second I had the opportunity to chase that, I went with it. And I went with it hard, with full power. And by the third or fourth year of this, I felt like I was living a lie again. Why? Why did I feel like that? And hopefully you are coming to that realization that maybe the life that has been laid out for you wasn't chosen by you, and therefore it feels like a shell. It feels like a cage almost. And if you are there, then you're in the right place, because I have developed a framework for you to springboard into a life new experience through the trauma that I've experienced, the psychology and counseling that I've had to go through, and my experience with change. It's called the DDE framework, where you decondition the past, declare your own future that you choose, and evolve in the present by bringing the mind back into the body. That link is in the description. So if you're ready to really stop living by somebody else's framework and choose your own, then hit the link, because that is the exit to the framework that you're currently living in, that you feel stuck and you feel empty. Remember, we're trying to experience life in a whole new way that we choose, and that's what this is designed to do. It's not a course, because it's not another system for you to fall in. It's a new springboard, a framework for you to live by, so you can evolve in the way you choose. But let's get back to this. By this point, when I was starting to find tension and this tug of war between what I was told I needed to live and the perceived opportunity that I have to actually live that, and the inside of me saying, screaming, like, let me out of here, screaming, this is not right. During that phase of my life, I was lost. I was like, everything that I've experienced for these 27 years, 28 years is completely wrong. It's wrong with me. Not because I'm wrong, but because the framework that I was told that I needed to live by was wrong. And so I started making incremental changes at a time, but for some reason, every incremental change that I made seemed to drive me back into this framework, into this, hey, this is how you have to live, white picket fence lifestyle. And it was at that moment that I realized, like, this is not for me, that I completely X'd out that whole life. And I caused a lot of damage by doing that, but it was absolutely necessary for me to be where I am today for you. It was so necessary for me to start to discover and experience life in this new way. And so with that, like, I've had the traumatic lifestyle, the near unalived experiences, the white picket fence framework that was told, the rose-colored glasses, in almost every different shade that you can think of. And so now, today, because I've decided, I chose it to live in the way that I choose every single day, with some failures, some backtracks, some regressions, but I still actively choose it every day through bringing my mind into my body and being aware that I am an individual and I want to express that through connection with other people by utilizing, turning my sufferance, my traumas into a utility for other people to grab hold of. And when I do that, that negative energy that's stuck in me is turned to positive and given to somebody else so that they can grow from it. And then by proxy, I grow from it. I evolve because of it. And so I'm changing these social layers that we've been told to live in, and I'm transmuting them into a positive way and finding a way to harness them so that I can be my raw, authentic, genuine self. And by utilizing that in this way and transmuting it, then I can bring that and have a deeper, vulnerable connection with other people. And this is where my human experience is so important, because we are all sharing this version of reality that we've been told that we have to live in. But what if we're not supposed to? What if we're supposed to express ourselves individually, but for the greater whole? But instead, a select few are ushering us in a certain direction that feels curated. It feels like a cage. It feels like an operating baseline in a framework that we did not choose. And I want to choose something different that I find purpose in, I find value in. And so if you also feel that way, then please look into the stuff that I have to offer, not for me, for you. And it costs money, yes, because I want you to actually commit to this. I want you to experience life in a whole new way. And I so deeply desire to hear your journey, to hear what you do. So please, in the comments, share what your rose-colored glasses are. What have you been told you have to live by? And subscribe, because when we hit 500 subscribers, we're going to go live for live Q&As. But to put this in a nutshell, you are not cookie cutter. You don't have to live a cookie cutter life, but it takes work, and you have to choose it every single day. You have to bring your mind back into your body. And you have to be consistent, set firm boundaries with yourself. And if you want to learn some of the misconceptions about the boundaries, then click this next video. I love you. Peace. See you soon.